Welcome to the AutoSuccess Executive Spotlight. I'm your host, Brian Ankney. Today, my guest is Tim James from Flick Fusion. Welcome, Tim.
Well, thank you, Brian. It's a pleasure to be here.
So let's just get started with a little bit about yourself and the career path that led you to where you are today.
Okay, yeah. As you know, we've known each other a long time. I'm I guess a 25-year veteran of the automotive industry. But prior to even entering the automotive industry, I worked with a company setting up video conferencing. This was 1998.
Oh, wow.
97. Setting up video conferencing networks across the country. Now, we didn't have the infrastructure that we have today, right? There was no high-speed internet. There was no satellite internet. No internet over your phone. So what we had to do was tie networks of T1 phone systems together from one side of the country to the other side of the country, going in and locking down little pieces of a T1. Usually we needed at least a quarter of a system to tie to the next one, in order to create a seamless video conferencing stream for an office of a company on the West Coast with their office in the East Coast.
Wow.
And we could go down to Mexico or other countries, all tying the T1s together to create video conferencing.
Wow, that's interesting. That's a lot of T1s to go from one side of the country to the other.
And I tell you, in a lot of ways, that from the video perspective, a lot of it still works the same way it did today, as it does today. This was multi-point video conferencing, so it wasn't just one person video conferencing with another. This was rooms or groups of people video conferencing with other rooms or groups of people in multiple cities across the country. So instead of loading your teams up and flying them across the country, putting them in hotel rooms for the evening to have meetings, they could, the larger companies who could afford these networks could save hundreds of thousands of dollars a year in travel expenses by putting together multi-point video conferencing. And it was some amazing technology even back in those days. So I know when a lot of people think of video technology, live streaming, video conferencing, all that fun stuff, that it's looked at as a new technology, this new emerging thing. And the reality is it's not. Companies have been utilizing video conferencing, video streaming, live streaming technologies for a long time. Obviously, the internet, the increase in bandwidth that we have, the increase in the pipes available via mobile phones, the size of the screens of mobile phones, all of those different things have now taken video conferencing where you don't have to be static, you don't have to be sitting in a room. You can do the video conferencing from anywhere on the fly. So that's definitely added a lot of benefits. But as just a meat and potatoes technology, not a lot has changed. It's still used for the same reasons to accomplish the same things as it has been since the late 90s.
You know, that's actually a great segue into the next thing I wanted to ask you about. You talk about how a business leader or a business group, instead of going and visiting 5 cities, let's take that and translate that to a car shopper.
Yeah.
Instead of visiting 5 dealerships, 6 dealerships, spending 2 weekends going store to store to store. That's what video is doing for customers today. In the dealership, what are some great things you see going on in video and sales and service right now?
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously it starts higher in the funnel, right? It starts with high funnel shoppers in that initial phase of the buying cycle, still trying to determine what brand they want to purchase. Is this brand better than this brand? What features does the 2024 offer that the 2023 or 2022 model didn't offer, right? So having model level test drive videos at the high part of the funnel for the consumer is definitely where you need to start. Their only other option is to try to absorb what your TV commercial tells them, or visit the dealership, which they're not ready to do yet. Or like you mentioned, it's what a time commitment to go and visit this store, this brand and this brand and this brand, to try to ascertain all of that information on your own by getting in your car and driving, where if the dealership will make that information available to the consumer on their website, they're going to be much more likely to watch those videos, absorb that information, and then, and this is the key to the whole equation, and then while they're in your buying funnel, while they're in your buying cycle, moving to the next phase of the buying cycle while still on your website, right? So that's the key. We can send them to the OEM site to try to get that information, and that's what most dealerships do, unfortunately. But now that the consumer is getting that information at the OEM level, on the OEM site, how am I going to make sure they come to my website when they're ready to look at a specific piece of inventory? So offer that information on your website. Offer that video content on your website so that when the consumer starts their search, they find it on your site, and then there's no question where they're going to go to now take that next step and see, okay, I like this year, make, model. Let me see what you have available, and on the inventory you have available, let me see if there's one that really fits my needs. So that's the next level, is now VIN-specific inventory videos. Pictures have always been king, and I remember, you probably remember, it wasn't that long ago when it was hard to have a dealership even have 4 photos of a car on their website.
Yeah.
And the technology at the time made it hard. Bandwidth was low. A lot of consumers were still on dial-up. And listen, we're not talking 50 years ago. We're not talking 20 years ago. We're really talking about 10 years ago, maybe bordering on 12 to 15, when the majority of consumers were still on dial-up internet service.
Yeah.
So it was hard as a business to post pictures to your website because of the bandwidth, the amount of time it took, not just to take the pictures, but to upload them, and the amount of time that it would take for the consumer to digest that information, those pictures, when they're on your website, by clicking and not having the page gradually load and drive you crazy. So as bandwidth continued to increase, as technology started making it easier for dealerships to capture more images faster, get those images to their website almost instantaneously from when they're captured, it made it a lot easier for the dealership to now increase the information and emotion that they're duplicating on their website for the consumer. Circling back around, this is what it's all about. It's about information and emotion.
Yeah, well, yeah, emotion, you really strike a chord there. I mean, what emotion do you feel while you wait for a video to load? It's
right.
Not the emotion you want to have tied to the cars you're selling, right?
It's not. And if we think about our on-the-lot process, right? A consumer visits us on the lot. Our sales team is trained, and we're good at creating, transferring the information that we want to transfer, and inspiring the emotions that we want to inspire with the consumer. That's what the automotive industry has some of the best trained salespeople in the world at transferring that information and creating that emotion when the consumer's on the lot. Now, what information and what emotion? Well, obviously the consumer's there to learn information about a car, and the dealership personnel are there to try to inspire mental ownership, make the consumer want to buy that car, but also make them want to purchase that vehicle from that dealership and from that salesperson, right? Day one, green pea, first day on the job, the training is sell yourself, sell the dealership, sell the car. That's the emotion that we want to transfer. So going back to that with video on the website, that's what your pictures did. That's the reason you wanted to move from 4 pictures to 8 pictures to 12 pictures to 27 pictures to 37 pictures. And I think most dealerships do a really good job today of having a good number without having too many, because there is a number that's too many pictures. But I think most dealerships do a good job at having good, high quality images to help the consumer see the car and try to work on that mental ownership aspect, duplicate that emotional process that we have at the store on our website, right? So as technology has continued to increase, it's made it extremely easy to now take that transition to the next level. So the consumer doesn't have to just look at the pictures and read about the information of the car. I don't know about yourself. Do you like reading a lot of words on a piece of paper?
I'd much rather watch a video.
We'd much rather listen to
Yeah,
them,
I'd rather
right?
listen to it.
I would rather have someone tell me about the car than me have to read about it. And at the dealership, that's what we do. The consumer walks onto the lot. We tell them about the car. While they're looking at it, we sell it.
Yeah.
So we can do the same thing. We can duplicate that same emotion with the VIN-specific video. As the consumer's watching the video, seeing the car, now they hear us telling them about the vehicle as well, making it more likely that we're going to inspire that mental ownership and make them want to take that next step, and that's take a test drive.
Are you talking about a video where I would go to the website and this is a video that already exists and someone would tell me about the car and I'd see a video of the car? Or are you talking about you and I talking and you're telling me about the specific car as I ask questions?
Well, that's the next step, right? So our goal is to inspire enough mental ownership of that for that consumer of that vehicle that they do something that they weren't intending on doing, and that's contacting the dealership, right? Because the consumer is still going to have questions. The consumer does want to take a test drive of that car and learn more about it. So if we can inspire enough mental ownership, that's where lead forms get filled out. That's where phone calls get made and questions start getting asked. Now, because technology is always moving forward, using video as part of that next communication process is also a very important, maybe not today as you and I are sitting here talking, maybe not one of the most utilized forms of communication, but it is the future. Just like live streaming and podcasts and streaming webinars, and 5-10 years ago we were doing phone interviews, right? And now we do video podcasts because technology moves forward and makes it easier. And I'm sure the consumers out there watching the podcast would much rather watch and listen to us than just listen to us. It's a more emotional experience. So the next level of communication is having giving the consumer the ability to video call, do a real-time video stream with your salesperson at the dealership. And not only is it what's best for the consumer, let's think about this. What are your salespeople best at? Your salesman is best when they're live and in person. I would imagine most dealerships out there, most GMs, most sales managers would agree with me. They would much rather see their salesperson live talking to a person than typing an email to them or chatting with them or even talking to the consumer on the phone, because that's not where they excel.
Well, I mean, you wouldn't believe how many people have sat in that chair right there and talked about how terrible some of these recordings are of the phone and how awful some of these emails are. Whereas, people that you would never trust to, be on the phone or to send emails that it's always going to be right, you send them out all day long on a Saturday afternoon to go put their arm around a customer and bring them in, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. So set your sales team up to win, right? Mm-hmm. Give them the tools they need to be the best they can be. And that live video stream, virtual test drive button on your VDP, here's Mr. Consumer, here you can call us, you can fill out a form and email us, you can click this button and chat with us, or you can click this button and video call a salesperson right now. So this is the future, and especially the younger generation, they live on video calls. They video call with people all day long. And as that generation continues to grow and continues to get older, having that one-click video call is going to become more and more, it's going to become a way of life.
I mean, it's funny. I see kids ride their bike down the street all the time, no handlebars, and they're doing a video call.
Yeah.
And I think, oh my, that just seems so dangerous. Well, but you see it all day, every day.
And right? Unfortunately, driving their cars too.
Yeah.
But it is a way of life, and it's only going to continue to become more and more a way of life.
Yeah.
So, but more importantly, or I should say equally important, is it's what's best for the dealership, right? Because again, your salesperson's better when they're live, and the best way to create that mental ownership, that to duplicate that on-the-lot experience that you create is live. It's having a consumer physically on your lot. There's nothing beats it. That's what everything we do is set up to try to get the consumer to the lot so we can inspire the emotion we want to inspire. The second, if I can't get you to physically be on my lot right now today, the second best way for me to inspire that emotion is on a live stream, is one-on-one video communication where I'm looking at you and you're looking at me, and we're talking to each other. We can see each other's eyes. We can see each other's body language. I can walk you out to a car. So I've given you a long-winded answer to your question. That's that next step is giving that salesperson the ability to now walk that consumer out to the car and live in real time and answer their questions, give them that virtual test drive, that remote test drive, and duplicate that emotional experience. Now,
give it a real walk around in real time.
A real walk around in real time.
I do want to ask you about how easy it is to do it. You had mentioned the option you can call, you can fill out a form, you can chat, or you can go on a live stream communication. You and I, when we were talking about doing this interview, I sent you a Teams meeting, and you're a Zoom guy. And, we had a little issue making that, live stream communication work. And that happens to me every single week because there's a gazillion different programs and products people can use. Well, if a dealership wants to put that button on their website, they probably want it to work every time. And not only are some of those people using different stuff, some of those people maybe never did it before.
Yeah.
How can a dealership know it's going to work?
That's probably one of the most important parts of the equation, right? Yeah. Is making it easy for the consumer. What I see some dealerships doing is putting a form for the consumer to fill out to schedule a time to do a live virtual call. And that makes no sense to me at all. The consumer's live on your website right now. They have questions about a car right now. You wouldn't ask them to schedule a time to have somebody call you. You wouldn't ask them to schedule a time to chat. You wouldn't ask to schedule a time to fill out a form and ask your question. Why would you ask to schedule a time to do a live video call, right? Yeah. I'm on your website right this second. I have questions and I'd like to talk with someone. If I had to fill out a form and schedule a call, then I have to pick a time in the future when the reality is I don't know what I'm going to be doing at that time.
Yeah.
Right? We have this thing called life that gets in the way. And I might have good intentions that I'll pick 1 p.m. tomorrow to video call with you. But by 1 p.m. tomorrow, I may have gone to another dealer's website and found the answers that I was looking for and already purchased my car.
Yeah, as they say in Texas, you could be busting bugs in your new car, right?
Right? Exactly. And one of the reasons I think that a lot of dealerships try to do the schedule aspect of it is so that they can utilize something like a Zoom or a Google Meets or, and not all of those technologies. There's a difference in the technologies in live streaming video technologies, right? There's a newer, not really brand new, but a newer concept out there called one-click video call. So with the Zoom, you and I both have to be on Zoom, right? We both have to have downloaded the Zoom program to our computer or to our phone. Google Meets, we both would have had to log in and create Google profiles to utilize Google Meets and communicate with each other. All of those different types of live streaming platforms require both people be using the same platform. And not all computers work real well. I tried a Google Meets this morning, and I don't know what it is with Google Meets, but my computers, my laptop's camera will not work on Google Meets. It doesn't. It works well on Zoom. It works well on Teams and a lot of the other ones, but for some reason it just doesn't play well with Google Meets, and I'm not able to use my camera.
You know what I get a lot with people is they'll be like 4 or 5 minutes late, and it's because they weren't anticipating to have to download or they had some issue. And I just wonder, like, if I'm shopping for a car, am I going to jump over that many hurdles to talk to a person I've never even met before?
We're not making it easy.
Yeah,
right.
Not.
Is what it all circles back to.
So how can it be easy?
So what the one-click video call technology does is the person receiving the call. So this would be the salesperson at the dealership has an app that is downloaded on their phone. It can be iPhone or Android, it doesn't matter. And the consumer, whether it's on a website, whether it's in an email, whether it's in a text, it doesn't matter. The button for the consumer to click is all the same. It's platform agnostic. It doesn't care if it's an iPhone, it doesn't care if it's an Android, it doesn't care if it's a desktop or if it's a mobile. That side of the technology is 100% platform agnostic, and all a consumer has to do, whether they're on a desktop or a mobile, Android or iPhone, doesn't matter, is click a button. The consumer clicks a button, they're instantly on a live stream with the salesperson at the dealership. So they don't have to schedule a time. You don't have to say, do you use Zoom? Do you use Google Meets? Do you use this? Do you use that? You don't have to ask the consumer to go download a particular app or schedule a time where you can send them an invite to a meeting. They click a button, they're live streaming with you in real time.
Wow.
So now, me, the salesperson at the dealership, can see the consumer can see me, they can see my body language, I can read their body language. I can do what I do best as a salesperson, and that's have a live one-on-one communication with the consumer. And I can walk that consumer out to the vehicles that they have an interest in live in real time while the consumer's sitting at home, walk them around the car, answer their questions. Look at this though. Let's say the consumer's interested in the car. And just like I would if I'm standing with the consumer on the lot, my next questions are going to be, okay, do you have a trade-in? Mm-hmm. We'd like to buy your trade-in whether you buy our car or not, right? The inventory acquisition part of the equation. I can easily, the consumer says, yeah, I do. I have I'm sitting out in my driveway. I have a 2019 Ford F-150 that I was thinking about trading in. Awesome. You have the keys handy. Why don't you grab your keys, walk me out, and start your car for me? I'm going to pull in my used car manager, and we can do a real-time appraisal for you instantly without having to schedule. I know with digital retail right now, remote trade-ins, a lot of our biggest fear is giving the consumer too much for their trade.
Yep.
Right? And the forms that we have them fill out, the online forms, the questions that we ask them, I'm sure any person watching this who's participated in the digital retailing inventory acquisition part of the equation knows that 99.9% of the time, the consumer isn't necessarily answering all of those questions 100% accurate. They feel like their vehicle's in better condition than it is. They don't always disclose maybe little dents or dings. So how can we protect ourselves better than having the consumer just take some pictures and upload the pictures and send me the pictures of your car, shoot a video, send me the video of your car? How about having them go out and cold start their car live, real time, while it's sitting in the driveway with the salesperson and the used car manager watching, and have the consumer do a walk around of their vehicle, where we can now ask them questions about their vehicle. We can look at the tire tread depth. We can look under the car to see if there's oil that has dripped, any kind of fluid that has leaked under the car while it's been sitting for in one place overnight. Not they just moved it so they could snap their pictures.
Oh yeah.
Right, and so the oil, the fluid leakage isn't showing in your pictures.
Well, and I mean, look how good people are at taking pictures these days. I mean, there's probably a lot of things on a car that if you take a picture one way, you're going to see it, but if you take it from over here or over here or under here, I mean, like look how well people. I mean, try to take a photograph at dinner with 6 couples and hear all the advice you're going to get about how you should hold the camera, right?
And they are good at it.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah, and the consumers. This isn't for most consumers today. Asking them to do a video call isn't an unusual request. They do video calls all the time now. Asking them to walk out and do a video of their car for you is not an unusual request today. The information that you, as the person evaluating their vehicle for trade-in or for acquisition, the information that you're able to get is so much better and more accurate than any information you're going to get having them fill out a form and send you some pictures. So, and it's all part of the same process, just as it would be if the consumer was on your lot looking at the car from your lot in real time. It's the same step-by-step process, and you can duplicate that 100% remote.
Well, that probably leads to a much better customer experience, because if I'm in Texas and I got a 2-hour drive to your dealership and you show me your car and we say, okay, that's a fair price for that car, and then I take some pictures of my car and I happen to leave out that it's got 4 decent-sized scratches and some dents, and then we agree to a price on my car, and then when I get there, that it's a $3,000 difference.
Yeah.
Even if you do get me to drive home in that new car, I'm probably not going to love you for it when you could have prevented it, right?
Absolutely, and it goes both ways, right? So if you're receiving their vehicle, you have that video evidence, right? You have your live stream, which you can record, and so you have that entire recording, so that when their car does show up and it has a scratch, you can, if you didn't see it on the live stream, which you probably did, right? You probably were able to see it and address the issue before the vehicle shows up at the dealership, right? And that's what we're trying to avoid.
Yeah,
We're trying to create a scenario where there's more transparency and there's fewer potential issues once the transaction has been agreed on, right? Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So by doing the live stream and having the consumer walk me around their car, we can ask them to zoom in on certain things that don't look right and may look like a scratch. Is that dirt? Is that a scratch? Can you zoom in? Okay, great. And the consumer's going to be more likely because you're live with them.
Yeah.
Just as if you were standing at their car on the lot, they're going to be more likely to disclose those dings, those dents, those imperfections than they would be if they're just taking pictures, and they're going to avoid those.
Yeah, they're going to.
Right, when they send you the pictures. So now the car shows up at the lot, and there's a scratch you didn't expect. There's a ding you didn't expect. You have the video to go back and verify, did that happen during transit, like the consumer's going to try to say happened, or was it there already, right? I'm not going to say things don't happen during transit because I'm sure they do, right? But look what you're doing to the relationship when you now have to start having those conversations with the consumer about was the scratch or dent there before delivery, or did that show up during delivery, right? And that's both deliveries. That's as with me sending the car to you as well, right? If it's a used car that you're purchasing from me, and I was doing my live walk around, and I was able to point those out to you, because I'm full transparency, right, Mr. Consumer? Look, one of the reasons why this, you're looking at a 2023 with only with only 7,000 miles on it, marked down as low as it is because of this scratch right here, right, or because of this ding right here. What imperfections that used car that the consumer's buying has, you're able to point out and use those as a positive as to why it's a good deal that they're able to get, versus the consumer purchased. It's digital retail, and the consumer makes the purchase, and the car shows up, and now the consumer's not happy because they're going to say that wasn't disclosed.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I have video evidence that it was disclosed in part of the communication. Right. So that transparency goes both ways. Me buying your car, you buying mine. Both presentations are recorded. They were both live streamed and both recorded.
Well, now, with dealerships trying to acquire as much inventory as they can from their local markets and even the broader markets, I mean, I imagine this technology kind of fills that same need. Is that right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, there is no limit to your marketplace, right? I mean, it's anywhere that somebody can access a live stream and jump on a video call with you. You can sell them a car. They would be more likely. I mean, you can sell them a car either way, right? They're going to be more likely to want to purchase the car because of the different informational and emotional experience that you're able to create for them, utilizing live stream versus just utilizing pictures and words.
Interesting. Well, now, just about every interview that I do, we have to touch on AI, because AI is in every news broadcast, every magazine. I mean, it's everywhere. Everybody's talking about AI. How does AI impact, the technologies that you guys provide?
AI is, again, it's one of those technologies that is the buzzword right now because there's a newness to it. Mm-hmm. But the reality is AI is not new. The utilization of artificial intelligence, of machine learning, has been around for 20 plus years. Our platform was built on machine learning and the utilization of artificial intelligence all the way back as far back as 2007. So we've been utilizing, we we brand ourselves Flick Fusion Video Marketing, driven by video, powered by data. And it's that powered by data part of the equation that I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
So our platform is able to ingest different types of data from just about any source and utilize that data to enhance that informational and emotional experience, depending on what kind of data it is. Some of the data is informational. Some of the data can be utilized to increase the emotional value, the emotional aspect of the video communication. So we built the platform all the way back in 2007, utilizing a lot of levels of artificial intelligence, and just recently stripped some of that artificial intelligence out of the platform, because we started noticing that, hey, a lot of people are utilizing these same types of artificial intelligence features as standalone products for still images, for a lot of different aspects of their merchandising. And we thought, well, instead of just using that for our videos to enhance the informational or emotional value of a video, we can use that same technology for images. So I don't know, maybe a year and a half ago, stripped a lot of that technology out of our video platform and started creating standalone image AI. So simple things, first and foremost, giving either a website provider, a portal, the ability to score the images that they're receiving from dealers. Obviously, if you're a marketplace, the consumer comes to your marketplace, you want to provide them with the best experience you can. Part of that experience is largely dependent on the quality of the images that you have, that you're displaying for the vehicles, right?
Yep.
But you don't control that quality. Somebody else is taking the picture.
Yeah.
Somebody else is sending that picture to you, and all you can do is display it. Well, what we do is we step in the middle, and we can work for either the person sending the picture or the person receiving the picture, and we can start with doing just a quality control, scoring the images. Hey, these images are blurry. These images have sunspots. These images, the car's tilted sideways, or the car's too far back in the frame and you can't really see it anyway, it's so far back. This one, it's cut off and only 3/4 of the car is showing. This one has 3 people standing in it. We don't even know who those people are, but they may not like having their image out on your website. They were just shopping. They were browsing the lot at the time that somebody was taking pictures. Maybe there's a competitor's billboard in the back. A lot of different things. There's trash in the floor. There's different types of flaws with images that the AI can detect and can tell you all of these different things should be corrected. Now that's just step one. The step two is for some of those we can actually do the correction. The AI can automatically take that image and automatically recrop it, can automatically resize it, can automatically center it, can automatically take and remove people from the background, can remove banners from the back.
I wanted to ask you, can it clean the trash up off the floorboard?
We can't clean the trash yet.
Can't do that
clean it yet. But there's a lot of things it can do. It can upscale the image so that it, if it was pixelated, it's no longer pixelated. It's now a nice, clean, fresh, sharp-looking image. It can do a tilt control. So if the car was tilted and sideways, it can straighten it up, and now it's a nice, clean picture in the frame. So all kinds of different things that the AI, once it recognizes what's wrong with the picture, can also fix what's wrong with a lot of the pictures. Obviously, backgrounding and making still images look like they're, instead of being taken on the lot, they were taken in a picture booth or in the showroom, something like that. That can all be done as well. But that's the easy part. The hard part is making sure that the quality of the image itself meets a certain standard, right? So right now, there is a layer that's built in there where it has to leave our capture device or anyone's capture device, but leave the capture device and go through the servers for all of those things to take place with over a certain period of time. And as we continue working on this, our goal is to get that to a almost real-time process where if I'm a photographer, I'm taking the picture of the car. By the time I've moved and am ready to take my next picture, we've already evaluated the picture you just took and have already scored it for you. And if we notice there's something wrong that doesn't meet the requirement of the dealership or the requirement of the touch point that photo is going to be going to, that it can send you an error message right in real time, right on your phone, say, hey, there was trash in that picture. You need to remove that trash and take it again. So, before you've ever snapped the camera to take the next picture,
you already know.
It's already telling you, dude, come on, there's trash. Just pick that stuff up and get it out of the way, take the picture again. Or it was blurry, there's a sunspot, there were people in the background. All of the different things that could be an issue, it could tell you before you've ever even moved to the next spot to take the next picture, right? So we're not there yet, but
I imagine that would solve a major problem, because if a person goes through the lot, takes pictures of all the cars, then goes on to their next task, and then finds out.
Yeah.
I mean, are they going to immediately go back out and fix that picture, or could it be tomorrow? Could it be the guy's day off? Could it be 4 days from now, or never?
And it never is usually the answer. There's a certain level of tolerance that people have. They don't necessarily want to have. They would like for every image on, that marketplace would love for every image to be the best, sharpest, cleanest image that they can have. But they also know that the likelihood that that's going to happen may not happen. And what some marketplaces have done is they sign deals. They try to work with certain companies that provide photography, the photography software, right? And the problem with that is, when you have the photography software, you can put requirements in that tells the person taking the picture, you have to take these pictures in this order, and they need to fit, in this screen, in this silhouette, and that way we're certain that they're not tilted, that they're the right distance. We try to control the quality of the picture by controlling the person taking the picture. Unfortunately, most of the time, the person taking the picture has one goal and one goal only in mind, and that's to get to the next car. And the quality of the picture is not always their top priority. So a lot of those pictures do get missed. A lot of the trash in the floorboard, sunspots, blurry, not cropped right, not framed right. A lot of those still happen, even though the person, the technology being used is supposed to prevent that. And that's why our technology exists. We say, don't try to control the person. There's thousands of them. Can you imagine trying to control thousands, the quality of images that thousands, tens of thousands of people that are using those apps and taking those pictures? You can't do it. That's like herding cats, right?
Yeah.
You can't control the quality of the person. So our technology controls the quality of the image. and that's easy. That's what AI can do, right? Image recognition, every photo that comes in, the technology can recognize the photo, know exactly what the photo should look like, know exactly what's wrong with it, and then either just notify or fix, depending on the issue and what the flaw is.
Nice. Well, yeah, I mean, the ability to fix it sounds great. That's a lot better than never.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, Tim, is there anything more you'd like to share with our audience today before we go?
Hopefully the conversation was able to generate some questions from the audience, things we didn't talk about, things we didn't cover. There's a lot of smart people out there, hopefully, that are watching this. And we'll have feedback, we'll have thoughts, input that you and I didn't even think about, right, during our conversation. So would love to hear that feedback, would love to get the perspective, from the audience. And the one way that the automotive industry has always been able to, it's a small world, right? You know that. You've been around this probably as long as I have. It's a small world out there. And the way we're always able to continue to innovate and continue to get better and come up with new ways of not capturing images, of capturing videos, of enhancing images and videos and different merchandising layers and just overall strategies is through collaboration, through everybody working together, right? So if there's somebody out there and you've watched this and you have some thoughts and ideas, reach out to us and let us know.
Yeah.
Because it's that feedback and that communication that helps the industry as a whole.
Well, thank you for coming, Tim.
Absolutely, Brian. It's been my pleasure.
And thank you for taking the time to join us for this AutoSuccess Executive Spotlight. I'm your host, Brian Ankney. Today, my guest has been Tim James from Flick Fusion. We hope to see you again soon on a future episode. This one's Over the Curb and Burning Gas.